Alright, there we go. I had two OBSs open, which is weird. Ah, I just want some like chill musics and vibes while I draw. People can kind of like ask questions or something. I'm also gonna open my YouTube so I can answer things. But yeah, like I want to make this a habit. Just so like, I don't know, I get used to marketing myself and whatnot. I think it's important. I don't think enough people pay attention to how they market themselves online. At least when they're artists. I've seen it like, I don't know, like I don't think you should see it as like a one-sided thing where you have to use one specific platform. You should like pretty much be open to using every single platform. Cause like casting a wide net and not putting all your things into one basket necessarily, or you feed them all back into the single basket. So like, you know, having a Twitter and it redirects directly to your YouTube when you're streaming or something like I did. You know, or having Instagram, like using all your social media to funnel people to one area. I feel like that's kind of important. Because you're going to get different followers from different places anyways. And it's not really about followers to me, it's about, like, it really is about eyes, because any like eyeballs on your stuff is eyeballs on your stuff. And if you have a track record, eventually you'll be able to make a career out of it. That's how I kind of view things, like, mentally. I don't think a lot of people have that in mind. Like, they don't understand that, like, it's your career. It's not necessarily a job. Like, a job is a job, but a career is something that you deal with, like, throughout your entire life. Because I really don't think you're going to stay at a company forever. You might jump back and forth between companies, too. That's just, like, my opinion. Based on what I've seen. I'm gonna start doodling ape men, because they're fun. I also turned on my stream, because I wanted to see the chat. I mean, like, OBS has its own chat window, but I don't think it's that good. I still don't have audio coming through here. Oh man. What is happening? Like, this is supposed to be feeding audio through, I thought. Interesting. I guess I can feed the desktop audio. I didn't want to, but I'll just do that and I'll like lower my YouTube video. Because like I was trying to feed music through so that it's not just me drawing in blank sound. And I got like a couple songs that might be okay for like royalty-free stuff. I just want like this kind of chill vibe where I can talk about things and, you know, draw. I think my voice from like re-listening to it or streaming while listening to my voice is very like podcasty, which is fine. Definitely have my own thoughts on art and like how to structure yourself if you want to like create a business or something. I'm not gonna really talk about that unless people want to hear it. It's just like kind of stuff I've had to learn for myself, and I'm still consistently learning. Like I'm not there yet. And certain things I don't have like goals for that are immediate, and some things I have like major goals. Even a new short-term goal I have is to literally start making finished pieces, like drawings, like learn composition, make finished pieces, and then eventually get commissions, and if that gets consistent enough, just quit my day job, and then work on what I actually want to do, which this entire year is going to be like focusing on a storyboard portfolio to get a job next year. That's like my main impetus, because like a year is a lot of time. Like if you don't use that time wisely, and you don't set yourself up for success long term, like delayed gratification is a huge thing. You're gonna have nothing in the end, kind of, because you haven't focused on something and you haven't actively been doing something. Like when they say about consistency, from what I learned from looking it up, because I was curious how big projects are done, it goes back to the idea that like you can power through things and you can rush as much as you want, but it takes longer for you to get back out of burnout than it does if you were consistently doing a small amount every day, where you don't have to stop really. So that like timing and taking care of yourself and making sure you're not doing stupid stuff like really helps you in the end. Because imagine if you like you're burning yourself out so hard that you like injure your body and you're not paying attention to yourself eating or something like that. Like I've been there, I've done that. So that's why I now know vaguely what kind of limit basis. Like I need sleep for work at my day job. So I get sleep. I need to eat because my brain doesn't just run off fumes. You know, you're an animal, kind of, and you gotta take care of yourself the same way. So if you need breaks, like physically, if you're working a physical job, you need to take those breaks. They're not just arbitrary breaks. I think this is important for like personal health and well-being. But the other side of the matter is I overcorrected when I got injured because I got tinnitus in my thumb from drawing too much while also like doing physical labor tasks and some other things. The thing is, I overcorrected and I tried to play it too safe because I didn't want to injure myself again. But the issue is like, once you know these things that you need to take care of, you can actually push and like keep it in mind that you need to do these things. That way your body doesn't give out on you or something. You know, just kind of be cognizant of trying to stay healthy. And then you can set alarms for yourself or like write notes for yourself about certain things and then just kind of do what you're going to do daily so you don't have to ever stop. I think that's like the most important things, and you also get to pick and choose what you do. So usually if I stay up until 5, I'll make sure I have an alarm because I know I'm going to sleep in the middle of the day because my work is at 3 p.m. I basically set it to like 9, maybe 11, because like, even then I still like give myself buffer time to wake up that I don't. Plus an alarm like really is just a audio excuse to like not keep track of it. Like I don't have to constantly be looking at the time or anything. So I know when my alarm goes off, this is a specific thing that's happening. I even can like you can set the alarm with a name on it. So you can pretty much time your day out a little bit easier. And I pretty much set alarms throughout the day when I'm like doing stuff. It's not a strict schedule. I set them up when I feel like I need the time to do something. Like even at work, I want to get my full 30 minutes, but I don't want to like abuse it. So I set up my alarm for 30 minutes for my lunch break because I'm going to get those 30 minutes, you know. It's just automating the process a little bit so you don't have to like actively think about it. That's actually how I learned drawing. So like I basically like focus really hard about learning a subject so that I don't have to think about it when I go to draw it. Like that's the main thing. So like I try to make it as intuitive as possible. Like what are the key things I can take away that literally that are like the most important? Like what are the key things I can take away that are the most important that I'm going to use daily? And what can I get rid of or like automate process wise? Because like that's why I spend so much time like doing like anatomy studies and labeling and color coding it, because I'm ingraining it in my brain that much to where I don't need to like look it up really anymore. I do have gaps in anatomy knowledge though. Like I'm not gonna say I don't, but I also don't focus on super realistic drawings because I want to do cartoons specifically or comics specifically. Like I don't want to do super realistic stuff, but I want to understand how to draw realistic anatomy because you can add realism to your cartoons. So it's kind of like a stylization of reality, which is nice. And I believe as an artist, you should be able to pick and choose what you want to depict in your art. Not just some like arbitrary style thing that people tend to chase. I gotta draw like this guy, right? It's like, well, no, you don't. Not unless you're in a production. Because having a job in a production is different, obviously, because you're working for a company and that's like what you're trying to do. But in reality, like, I don't think it's that important. And also, like, don't draw things that you don't want to do. Like, I made 3D my hobby, and I was trying to get a job in it as an excuse to make money. It's like, well, in my particular situation, why would I do that if I'm already, like, why do I waste time trying to get a job that I know I'm not going to stay in, right? And it's a hobby. Like, I don't want to make it work. With art, it's not a hobby. Like, it's literally something that I'm so passionate about, and I want to go towards storytelling. Like, that is it. That's all I want in my life. That's all I've ever wanted. I keep saying it and not doing it. So, like, that's the kind of, like, issue is, like, you only get into things that you actively do. So if you're not actively pursuing something, you're most likely not going to get into it. And this is, like, part of being honest with yourself. Like, if somebody gives me a book and I don't read it, like, or I don't have the inclination that I'm going to probably read it, I usually tell them, like, I'm probably not going to read that. Because I know myself enough. Like, I've dealt with myself enough to know the types of things I'm not going to actively do. This is the thing. This is why people seem to be angry at me. I feel. I don't know. I feel they're angry at me because I point the finger at them and say, like, no, you're not doing these things because you honestly don't care about it. If you did, you would actively do them and pursue them. And there's another issue I talked about in a different server recently. It's kind of like, you know, why are people angry that they care about things? You know, if you go out of your way to do something for somebody else and then you get mad about it, like, why? You cared that much to do it in the first place. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, you're actively choosing to take on that burden. So don't be mad that you did that on purpose, you know? Like, it just means that you're, like, you know, you're that kind of person. That's what you do. I have issues with that. Like, that's kind of something that, like, drives me nuts is, like, and I had to get over it too. Like, I understand, but it takes somebody, like, telling you that that's what you're doing in your brain. Is it, like, you literally just care so much that you get angry that it is a burden to you, but you chose to do it. Like, that's, I don't know, it's kind of nuanced. I just kind of feel like that's a thing that people go through. And this is, you know, I feel it's an opinion. But I try to be honest and genuine. And I also seem deadpan at times because people do realize that I take things seriously a lot. But it's because, like, I don't know, like, when I act goofy, it doesn't really matter. So, I don't know. Also, I don't think a lot of people are funny, though. They legitimately don't. I don't know what happened to me with humor. It's just, like, if your humor kind of, like, requires that you're making fun of somebody else, like, I don't think it's really funny. I think that's you projecting on other people, in a way. Because I don't take kindly to you, like, treating people like that, just randomly. That's, like, a principle thing. Because, like, would you like to be dogged on for, like, the way you look or the way that you think or talk? No, you probably wouldn't. Like, I'll make you mad because I'm saying this stuff, but you probably wouldn't. And I'm just, like, talking to the camera, but that's mainly because, like, I've met people that do that shit, and they do that all the time. Like, they legitimately think it's okay to just, like, talk bad to treat people bad. And I don't agree with that. You know, there's, like, some fun jabs, but, like, once it starts getting towards, like, things that they can't control or seriousness, like, and you're not willing to, like, point out that it was a joke and, like, tell them what they're doing wrong, then I start to have a problem because you're knowingly acting in bad faith. You know? Like, this is why I judge people in my head, and I don't actively say it, though. Because I try to be considerate. I don't think people understand that. Like, I can be really mean if I felt like it. But I'm not just going to lose my temper and spout nonsense, because I'll look crazy, probably, for one. But also, like, even if I don't, like, I will literally be lambasting people over the shit that they do. I mean, if you want to be treated like an adult, you gotta treat other people like adults. Like, I'm not gonna baby you just because you say you're joking. Yeah, own up to it. You know, you care that much, own up to it. I just find it like kind of annoying that people will like say something and then backpedal on their own beliefs because they're not sure of themselves. You know, I honestly can't respect that because it shows that you don't have resolve in the things that you expound upon people. Like, you have no resolve if you're just gonna spout nonsense at people and then not follow it yourself. Like, that's my kind of like judgmental side, but I honestly believe that to be true sometimes. Because there's a ton of people that I've met on Discord servers and places that literally do that daily. And it's like, I have to eat the bullet a lot of times and hear them just talk about themselves ad nauseum and then expect, they expect other people to not be able to talk about themselves. It's like, no. You don't get to be a narcissist and then not allow other people to talk about themselves. Like, I'm not going to put up with it usually. But I've also gotten kind of grumpy sometimes. So, like, I've been, like, reeling back. And I also try to talk to people so I can make better decisions. Or I can understand what I don't like about an argument as well. Like, I feel like if you can't articulate what you don't like about something, why are you even arguing? Like, why do you even care? Like, usually in conversations like that, when people are literally in bad faith, I just leave. Or I just like, say, yeah, sure. Because I have no time to deal with these people, because they already have a preconceived notion in their head. And I have to just, like, eat it, move on, and go do art while they're, like, still thinking about it. Because it's not my problem. It's legitimately all in their head. When it comes to business, I'm working, like I said, I'm working on trying to get commissions and stuff to eventually leave my day job. Because if I can make sustainable income enough and build a name for myself through a track record and marketing like I'm doing right now on YouTube, then you can eventually make a living off of it. And you can have donations or Patreon, or stuff like that set up because you feel like it's, it makes sense. You're marketing yourself. A lot of YouTubers I see have done this in the past, actually. And I wouldn't say that they're, like, the best at it all the time. But they've basically created for themselves distribution platforms that they make reoccurring income from. That's what they're doing. So, like, they might not be the best artist, but they've basically created a platform for themselves to make money off of and sustain themselves. Which is the end goal. Like, I don't think the industry is the end-all be-all. But I do want to work in, like, say, the animation industry a little bit, so I can get more information about it. That's kind of me. I have tons of goals. I have some goals that I can't even, like, really plan out. Because it's so far in the future, like, I'm accounting for, like, me being able to change or not know. Right? Because I don't have that information. So I'm not gonna detail out this finite plan that I have to follow because, like, I legitimately don't know if things will change or not. So I don't know what I'm drawing. I was supposed to be drawing ape men. I'll just turn this into an ape. Whatever. This will be our ape men. I don't know if these conversations are going to help anybody, but I don't get to talk about these in Discords because people are so in their own head that they don't really discuss about these things. Like, they're always discussing about other people. And I find that kind of boring. It's like, if you want to talk about celebrities, like, go listen to fucking tabloid news. I don't know. I just don't care for it. Like, I think celebrities are cool. I think knowing facts about them is okay. But usually with me, it's like artists, and it's like facts about what they worked on. Usually it's also like looking about what inspired them. I always love when other artists will like expound upon what they like looked at in the past or the kind of things that influenced them. I find that fascinating because then I can go Google search and like go down the rabbit hole of like looking up what art that they liked, and I kind of say like, oh yeah, no, like I can tell that that's like mixed in your pot of style, or that's the way that you direct. Like, it's all part of your DNA, and you get to pick and choose which parts that you're taking from other artists. you know. Now, if all your artists are anime artists and they're a very specific type of anime, like, you might have a very boring pot because you're literally putting the same ingredients in it multiple times, right? I have manga artists, comic artists, cartoonists, and also what else do I have? I mean, like, I have a bunch of influences, like Ren and Stimpy, Looney Tunes, One Piece, Samurai Jack, like all the Gendy Tartakovsky cartoons, 2000s stuff, like all the 2000s cartoons, to be honest. Mixed in with like Frank Frazetta and a bunch of different comic artists like John Buscema, another artist like Jay Heron, which I really like the brushwork of. Like, this is all stuff that, like, you want me to be pumped. Like, let's talk about influences. You know, because that's awesome. It's the same reason when, like, I let people be when they're talking about video games. It's like, no, they're so passionate about it. But I can't understand when you're passionate about another person's life. That bothers me. That kind of, like, saddens me. Because, I mean, I'm sure you can understand where that's going. Is this like, so, how's your life? What's going on in there? What's going on with your life? You know? But the reason I 180'd towards art, at least 2D art again, is because I don't want to do 3D. It's always been a hobby. Got into it for modding Fallout 4, and I wasn't being artistically fulfilled because I was just making other people's stuff work a lot of times. So I didn't get to create any of the concepts or anything. I didn't get to create them, like, models or anything. A lot of times I was fixing how other people's models worked. So eventually I kind of went crazy and started new projects over and over again because I needed to give myself work, because making somebody else's stuff work is not creatively fulfilling, especially if you're an artist who also is somewhat technical. Like, it's not fun to me personally, because I want to do the art. It's also why I want to learn storytelling and storyboarding and all this stuff, and directing, because I want to be in charge of the story eventually. I don't want to have to always write somebody else's story, and even if I do, I want the creative control to direct the narrative of the story, or like direct the visual side of the story. The thing that everybody else has to kind of follow, because, like, animators don't necessarily write the story all the time. I think that's a misconception and, like, romanticized view of them. So, like, oh, the animator, he makes the story and stuff, and I want to be like them. It's like, no, their job is to make the animation have weight and adhere to gravity in a semi-realistic way, and timing. But even the timing is like storyboards. So, like, all this stuff, like, it's a team effort, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's a team effort. Am I saying that some animators can't do that? No, but they've also worked those jobs a lot of times because they can create their own stuff. But I really think if you want to create your own stuff, you have to be a writer, which is an entire other skill set not related to art. It's its own art form. Because if you can be a writer and an artist, you can pretty much depict storylines and how you want to how you want to tell the story, like with emotions or psychology. How much do you want to leave out? How much do you want to put in? Like, all this stuff is very fascinating to me. The only job that you can realistically do all the pieces of on your own is comic books. And even then, like, you have to be some kind of crazy to be able to juggle all those things at once. Even some of the most, like, well-successful comic book, like, people don't do it on their own. That's why they have, like, groups. It's like you got the inker, penciler, and then you also have the inker, penciler, and writer, as well as, like, editor and color. Like, all these are different jobs within comic books. Even I think it's fascinating to see comic book artists that have been able to do it on their own, because that means that they have all these skill sets and they know how to market themselves, which is insane. Or they pay people to do it for them. Like, they pay people to do certain jobs for them. Which, again, like, kind of crazy. But once you get prolific enough, you can do that. Your name is out there. Like, people know what to expect from that. I just kind of think these are like my big thoughts on like stuff like this, and I don't think people really understand what I think about daily. Like, I'm not thinking about comedy all the time, although I am goofy sometimes. Like, I'm getting more serious about things because I care about them, and I want to do things. I don't want to just sit around. So I'm making a conscious choice to stream today because I want to make it a habit. Like, it doesn't just happen. Like, nothing just happens, in my opinion. There's an element of luck, but like, you have direct influence on the outcomes by just like doing something. You know, like, why wouldn't you change the outcome if you could? Like, you're inherently part of it, so like, you inherently have a piece to play within the outcome of your own life. So like, that's how I view it. But I also view long term. Like, let's say, and somebody was arguing with me about this the other day. Let's say you live 80 years, or 40 years, like this guy was arguing. It's like, it doesn't matter how many years. If you can't learn anatomy within that span of time, I don't know what to tell you. Because it's not, like, it doesn't take me 40 years to learn anatomy. You know? It's a small blip in your life. Like, a really small blip. So, I think if you're gonna do it right, just do it right. And then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of your life. That's the delayed gratification thing. You know? I don't mean to act like somebody's dad, but like, that's how I would kind of explain it, is like, you need to have the discipline and control to not just do things willy-nilly all the time and do things that you don't like consistently. So you can do things that you want to do, like, you know, do things that you do like daily, right? So like, working a dead-end job, I'm like, fine, it's nothing to me. Like, I actually do extra in my job because I'm that kind of person and I care. It's like, you know, I'm not gonna leave my boss with like a mess, or like something that's stacked up high that I know is gonna fall over. Because you just have to use logic by looking at how things are stacked. So I'll like actually restack things because I know, like, I'm not gonna be there the other day. So it's like, yeah, no, like, I do that because I can, not because I have to. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. I'm slowly like embracing that I'm just this kind of person. You know, this goes back to the idea, like, why are you angry at what you care for? You know, I'm making the conscious choice to do that on my own time. Another thing, though, is, like, taking care of yourself. Make sure you take breaks. Like, you need them, you know? It's like, yeah, no, I'm going to take breaks. Like, I need them. And I think federal government, like, standards is, like, 30 minutes for lunch, at least. So, like, make sure you understand how your state law is, if that's the case. Also, it's not even just the state law, it's based on where the company is operating. Because you think that the company is going to, like, change their operations just because of a state. I don't think that's logical. They probably just blanket statement, this is what the laws within our business is, you have to follow them, right? No matter where they are in the country. Because they're based in whatever state they're in, so they just don't have time to be spending making new arbitrary decisions based on the state. You know, but it depends on your company too. I just think that that's how I like view it, is like, no, like, it's solely based on the company, because who's your boss? Who's your boss's boss, right? Like, you know, if it's coming from corporate, like, that's, you know, they're in charge. I don't care what the state says, like, they're in charge of the business. They make the rules. You know. It's the same thing when I have coworkers telling me, like, you know, to do things. It's like, no, you're not the boss. Like, I'm going to listen to my manager first before I listen to you. If my manager tells me to do something and then you try to tell me to do something else, like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to follow your orders. You know. It's like, who do you think you are? You're not hiring me. You're not the one who's in charge of my paycheck. You know. But I also am the type of person that, like, if I didn't have to, like, record time or something, I would literally just grab and go do my job, you know. And just, like, keep knocking things out. So like this is all like important stuff to me that I care about. Even when I do commissions, I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be like, you know, customers first. Like the customer is almost always first, with caveats. Like you get to dictate what the boundaries are, right? So even in commissions, like I don't want to draw what I don't want to draw. It's like, well, fine. Like you can set up your commission sheet or whatever it is to say that you only draw these specific things, right? Like you don't have to do work that you don't want to. That's why a lot of artists on commission sheets or whatever will say something like, oh, I don't want to do not safe work, right? It's like logic. This also goes down to owning a business, from what I've learned. So you get to set expectations of what you want from customers and what you want from your employees in a business. So it's not just like, I mean, you're paying their paycheck. Like you kind of have the authority to do it because you own the business at that point, right? So you get to set what the company culture is. Like it's not just something that just happens, you know? So if you want customers that act a certain way, you can like set it that way. I do believe that the customers are always right for the most part though, because I want money, right? It's like I don't care if you're mad about this, that, and the other. I'll just take the money, you know? It's like, that's fine. You know, I'm going to let you believe in what you want to believe. I'm not going to hit you over the head about it. And I'm going to take the money. That's what I kind of see in comic book artists that are an issue nowadays. And I'm not even in the comic book industry. Is that too many people seem to want to hit their readers over the head and say, insult them. It's like, if that's not, like, if you don't want their money, fine. If you think that you have a bigger demographic somewhere else, fine. But I would rather have every kind of piece I can get, you know, every little thing helps, because things add up in the end, right? So I view it kind of like, you know, everything matters, but I get to choose what matters to me specifically. So like things that matter to me might not matter to you. That's fine. That's normal. You know, people all have their own wants, needs, and like things like that, their own goals, their own lives. So I tend not to like the nihilistic view, although somebody tried to tell me it's more nuanced. But regardless, the face value nihilistic view is that they don't care about anything. So, you know, and I very much have learned recently that people take things at face value. It doesn't matter what your vocabulary is. They'll take it at face value. This can be dangerous, though, if legally it's written down differently. So, if you sign a contract and you're taking it at face value and not paying attention to the wording, well, you're basically screwing yourself over, because what if it's like not in your favor? Like the Webtoon situation where they literally said like, we have slight ownership over your property and can do whatever we want with it. I don't really agree with that, so I'm probably not going to stay off Webtoons. I did try to make a comic in the past, but probably not going to publish it there again just because of that kind of law. Or that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? TOS? That kind of terms of service. That they own your property to an extent. I don't like that. I mean, they're a distribution platform, but like I don't like that. That's the thing that I like about Todd McFarlane. I don't agree with everything he's done, but I think it's fine. It's the past, right? The big thing that I kind of like about Todd McFarlane, principle-wise, is that he has like literally gone through a industry and made it possible to self-distribute yourself through his company. Like, he's the distribution platform, and you have to market yourself to get deals. Like, it's very clear-cut and dry. But the thing is, like, you get all the rights and responsibilities to your property, which in turn means you can fight for merchandise, like money, right? Like, if they make merch and you want a cut of it, you own the IP. It's none of this like you work for a company and then outright you have to basically sign a contract and they give you certain portions of the money. It's like, you know, if you made the IP, I do vaguely feel like you should get the money from it. But I also don't think working for a company is bad. I really don't. I think that's fine. I'm not against that, because I honestly think that's like a step, because you're not going to start a company out of nothing. You have to get an understanding of an industry. Um, and even after that, like, you might not want to. Like, some people just generally don't want to start companies because they don't want the responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility. You have to constantly be on your A game. You have to also be able to uh, pay people to do things for you instead of doing them directly. Like, you are not going to be doing all the creative things. But owning a company, you're probably getting into it knowing that, if you're smart, is that you're not going to be making everything. You know, that's what directors do too. Like, I very much want to become a director if I can. The main reason isn't because like I don't want to do things, it's because I want to have a very strong control over the content. Because some directors are very hands-on and actually do things, especially with TV animation. Like, they will board out certain scenes because that's the job that they did in the past. So like, I think it depends on what you're getting into things for. Yeah, one lesson my grandpa said, or like a couple words that are super important, is like, you know, if you get into something, be the best that you can be into. Like, it's kind of like, I don't care what you do, but do something, and if you do it, be the best that you can at it. So it could be anything, you know. If you want to be a lumberjack, fine. Just be the best lumberjack that you can be, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. I didn't really think much of it when I was younger, because I was still young. There's also another phrase, which is like, the only thing you can control is your mind. The reason that's important is because, like, no matter what you think about people, you realistically can only control yourself in a way. So that's like the huge thing that you have influence over, and it influences the outcomes around you. So I try to keep a positive mindset and like project what I want, only because I know that me being positive is going to be beneficial to me in the end. And I'm not going to like get into a negative spiral where I'm just consistently going downwards, because I've been there before. I know how bad that is. Some people have a hard time getting out of it. I got out of it when I moved to a different area and had like it's an environment change. But regardless of how you get out of it, it's a huge deal. Like, this is more like psychological moves. But I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this or not. I posted about it. But regardless of what happens, like, it'll be logged on my YouTube channel. I think it's fascinating topics that nobody really tends to discuss. Like, these things mean stuff to me. They're not stuff I get hyped about, but they're things that I have principles on. Like, I believe that I need to take care of these things. I believe if you have a kid, like, it's your responsibility to like leave an imprint on them when they're younger, because at some point they're not gonna want to deal with dad when they're older, or mom. So like, the time really does matter. This is why I also believe that for me, retirement isn't a big deal. I'd rather live in my own life or in the moment, because I think of it this way: like, retirement only serves the purpose to make sure that you're financially able to live the rest of your life out comfortably. I think you need to have some of that within your mind, but as well, like, who are you doing everything for, right? Like, if you don't have a family, you don't have a relationship, like, you're doing it for yourself, kind of, and that's not inherently bad. Like, I think it's kind of foolish to think that that's inherently bad, because it goes back to the idea, like, you can only help others if you can help yourself, right? So like, I like to be kind, but at some point, that kindness has to stop when people are inherently in their own way. And I've given my advice. They have to fail on their own. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. I think that's like one of the more important lessons I've learned from like 3D modeling and teaching stuff like that, is that people have to learn how to fail on their own. I'm gonna start doing these YouTube streams literally to do tutorials and stuff, or like talks like this, the main idea is I might like clip it, do shorts, or possibly like its own video, because I think that'd be a cool idea. Plus, it's like my laziness. Like I don't want to video edit all the time. I probably will, but I'm gonna strictly make these for Sundays, and be on time on Sundays every single time at 5 to 7. So I have a long time to stream. This is gonna be a long stream. It's not short, but I'll cover some interesting topics. You know, like that business stuff, or like personal thoughts on things. But yeah, to whoever watches, like it does matter to me that you watch. It's not lost on me. That's why I care so much. I think a lot of people, like, I was arguing with somebody, you know, they say something and then they like backpedal away from it, and when I point that out to them, they take it personally instead of me just like pointing out something that they could work on. You know, I even prefaced it without like I said, not trying to be emotional and trying to be like genuinely asking questions, and they still like just try to make jokes about it and kind of either dismiss it or run away from it entirely as a discussion. It's like, if you're gonna do that, fine, but I'm gonna treat you like a child. Because I can't respect that. Like, I can't respect if you're just gonna hide from me asking a serious question that you know yourself that you don't like. You know, that's why I will probably make people not like me to an extent, but I want you to succeed. I only say things like that because I want to offer advice. I only listen to people so I can make a better decision about how I'm acting, or like how I'm gonna do things. Because if I'm called out on something, I want to make sure like I understand why. Another thing about that is I like to get a understanding of things that I don't like specifically, so I can articulate my voice on the subject. I'm sure that you've seen like, I don't want to get into politics, but politicians and stuff like talk about things that they don't know about. It's the same idea, like old people talking about things that they don't know about, not even just politicians. It's because they literally don't do their own research. So it's like, if you're not willing to put in the research to argue about something, and you're not willing to be wrong about it, if you are like, if you're called out on what you're doing, then your resolve is lacking. Like, you're coming to a conversation without doing your proper research, and you're being dishonest by ignoring it at some point. Like, I've done that. I have done that a lot. That's what throws people for a loop, though, is because I'm willing to admit that I've done that, and I'm bad at that sometimes. Like, I'm stubborn. I'll talk over people. But I'm learning to try to, like, curb that a bit. But I mean, I don't have to talk over people in my stream because, like, I don't have anybody on. I don't think I will ever have anybody on, though. I think what I'll do is, if I stream with people, it'll be, like, in these little sessions that I record, and I'll video edit together. Like, so it's, you know, it's more flattering to them. I don't want them to say something that they'll get in trouble for, or they'll not like to be public. Like, that's what it's about, you know? Because, I respect people. You know, I don't respect. I'm considerate to people. I don't like using the word respect, because you can have no respect for anybody, and you can also like, having no respect is not inherently disrespect. That's my kind of like thing. Yeah, and this is where the connotations of vocabulary like matter a lot, and why I use very careful word choice. But I also am starting to realize, like, the face value thing. You know, your inherent idea of respect is flawed, because you think that not respecting somebody is disrespect. You can be impartial. That's the whole, like, thing, is that you know, it's not one thing or the other. I think it's kind of silly how, like, hyperbolic and black and white people make conversations in this day and age. It's like, you want to be treated like an adult, come at this like an adult and be able to discuss things. You know, otherwise I can't treat you like an adult if you're going to constantly yell at me over something that you know no knowledge of, and you can't articulate why you don't like it. They just, you know, I don't think they're adults at that point. I think they're just being hyperbolic babies. Um, and I do somewhat mean that with disdain, but I do mean the best for people, genuinely. Like, even though if I don't agree with you, I hope you have some success in what you do, you know? I don't have too much hate for people, genuinely. Usually it's for their personality, more than, like, them succeeding in life. Although there are those rare exceptions. Usually it's when they cut, like, they literally are dishonest with the phrases that they say that I'm saying. Like, I had this issue with a bunch of people on the server where it's like, you know, you say that you don't take advice that will inherently stop you from doing something. Kinda. I didn't say to not take all advice. I didn't say that all advice was bad. I didn't say all advice was good. You know? You get to pick and choose. It's always about that. You get to pick and choose what advice that you take in and follow. My thing is, don't listen to advice that is inherently limiting. If you haven't done something before, you don't know what your limits are. You don't. Like, maybe your limits and energy far surpass that person's. That's why my bio on Discord says something like, you know, it's my energy to waste. Don't limit me. It's because too many people assume that they're like them, that them pushing isn't something that's possible. You know? Thing is, don't lump me in with you. I know it's possible because I'm actively going to pursue it. You know? It's my choice. And if I fail at it, then I know what to do in the future. You know, but to not try is something that you will, like, think about a lot. Because it'll be, and I don't say regret, because you can not try and not regret it. But at the same point, it might pop up in your head and you're like, oh, well, what if I did do that? I don't know. But I don't really have a lot of that stuff because I like trying things. You know, I talk to people on Discord daily. I talk to random people. I don't have to know you, you know? I've just been kind of abrasive lately because I've been meeting the same people from the same servers that consistently say, like, oh, it's just like this other server, but they fail to realize they're the reason it was like that in the server to begin with. It's like there's this level of introspection that's just completely gone from their head. I don't know, like, what would, like, constitute that existing, like, what the reasoning behind it not being there is. But it's something that I deeply see, is that there's no level of introspection. Like, they're narcissists almost. It's like, if you like to hear your own voice, fine. Just, like, own up to it, I guess. I don't know. Like, what do you want from me? Like, if you're going to constantly be antagonizing, I don't care if you're on the right side or the wrong side, if you're constantly antagonizing and want to hear your own point or validate your own positions, yeah, I'm not going to treat you like an adult. Because you're just reassuring your own beliefs. You know, you're not actually coming to the conversation to have a conversation. You're coming to the conversation to talk to people. I mean, talk at people, you know? Like, why would you do that? Like, why would I care? Like, you're just stating the same point over and over again. You know? You're not even coming to the conversation with any honesty. Or, I guess integrity is the word I'm looking for. Not necessarily honesty, but... Because, I mean, you might have valid points. That's, again, this is like the devil's advocate thing. Is like, you might legitimately have some valid points. It doesn't mean I have to agree with all of them. You know? I mean, like, I almost view this like, this is like the Charles Xavier and Magneto, like, old man chess game, and they can talk to each other. It's like, they fundamentally disagree on how things should happen. But they're able to discuss things so they can work through their problems. I mean, if that weren't the case, it'd be like Magneto literally, like, crippling him even further in his own wheelchair because it's made out of metal, because he just didn't like what Xavier had to say. Right? Like, that's a character flaw. If you're kind of, like, bullheaded and stubborn. You know, especially if multiple people over a span of time are saying it, it's not just like a one-off thing. Like, this is a pattern. You know, I look at patterns a lot. So, like, that's the reason I stop arguing with people that want to argue, because they're coming to the conversation to argue. They're not coming to the conversation to talk. You know, what's the point of that? Like, I can't talk to somebody who's only looking for arguments and looking for the negatives. You know, there's nothing I can do for you. Like, you have to fail on your own and figure out if that's right or wrong. I'm not saying it is either or, but you know, like, that's the issue. And if multiple people are saying it over the span of time, it might be you. Like, that's the introspection. It might be you at that point. You know, that's why I'm not usually mad at people that say, like, I'm bad at communicating or something. Like, I think I could be better. It's the straightforward thing. I'm not as straightforward as I should be. But I've met genuine people that say that to me, and I'm like, you realize how considerate I'm trying to be with my words, or how much I care about the vocabulary that I use? And then you're going to say I'm bad at communicating when you can't even, like, tell me what's wrong when I ask you. I'm legitimately saying, like, tell me what's wrong. What is your problem with me as a person? And then you're going to say, oh, I don't have time for it. Like, I can't treat you like an adult. Like, I can't respect you. I can't, like, see you as anything else but a child. You know? Because that's what you're acting like at that point. And I don't mean you as the viewer, mind you. Like, I'm just like, these are things that I do have some emotion over because I've dealt with them. You know? I've dealt with it daily. Those specific cases I've dealt with, like, I think 3 or 4 times. But, I've dealt with this introspection for a long time. It's also why I've had a negative streak in the past. Because, like, you know, if you think that everything's your fault, or you think that there's no way out, and you're super introspective, well then, like, you get into a negative spiral where, like, that's all you can think about. Like, you know, why am I not better? Like, why am I not, you know, why are things not working out? But it took me an environment change to fix that, where it's like, oh yeah, no, there are genuinely nice people. Not everybody's mean, you know, and a lot of the stuff is in your control type of stuff. Like, because, like, you get to set how your mindset is. Like, if you want to project being happier, you have the wherewithal to do that, right? If you want to hope that things can be different and project what you want to see in the world, then you have more resolve, in my opinion. Like, that's what I do. People don't like it, but, like, that's legitimately what I do all the time. Is, like, I am consistently making myself seem positive because I want to brighten people's days up. Because it's already a living hell living the life that most people live. Why would you make it worse if you know you're going to live, like, 80 years or 40 years? It doesn't matter. Like, it's years. You know, why would you make it worse for everybody around you or yourself? Like, you're going to have to live with yourself for that long, right? Like, that's the kind of, like, that's the thing, right? And if you can't change yourself within that span of time, I don't know what to tell you. You just haven't learned the hard lesson. Like, there's certain baseline things that you just can't change in people, and they have to figure out for themselves too. Another thing that I had to, like, learn, you know, it's not something that you just, like, come across. It's a realization I had. Like, I'll probably just be stubborn, but I'm at least able to calm down sometimes and listen to people. The thing is, I'm super intense. Like, I used to get 2 or no hours of sleep while working a full 8-hour shift job and getting overtime every week. So, you know, that while doing 3D, like learning 3D and anatomy and drawing all in one while also drinking. So, like, I'm a very intense person. I just haven't pushed in a very long time. Now I'm back to pushing, and I want to do a lot of things. I'm going to work my job, and I'm going to try to get commissions up and running after I feel like I can draw finished drawings. And that will, you know, if it's consistent enough and I'm able to market myself that way, then I'll be able to get out of that job, keep doing commissions, and then working towards a portfolio for animation. You know, these are goals. These are short-term goals that I know I can do, and this is the stuff that hypes me up. Like, this is like, yeah, no, I want to do this. Let's go. You know? I think that's important. Chat's able to talk to me, by the way. This is a discussion. Hey. I haven't drawn. I've been talking, but, like, I kind of like it. I like talking about these things. I need to, like, draw though. It's kind of silly that I'm not drawing um, in a stream about drawing. Yeah, but I mean, like I don't know. Like maybe it's a podcast thing. Like maybe you turn this on and you'll just enjoy hearing these thoughts or like different kind of things that I've had to had epiphanies while working or through my life. That might be insightful to help you in some way or shape or form. That's why I like give advice still, even though some people just might not take it. It's like, well, it's on the off chance that somebody will. You know, it's on the off chance that you do get that one guy who like internalizes it and figures out how it works best for them. You know, it's not for the people that ignore you. It's for the people that want to try. And I think that's important. It's also why I want to start doing more YouTube stuff, because if I don't want to actively teach repeatedly, I'm just going to record a video. Like, you know, it's for the people that want to try. It's not for the people that are trying to be spoon-fed things. You know, and if you want to be a professional, you have to try. You have to. I think you have to learn how to teach yourself. Because if you can't, or like at least, yeah, no, you have to learn how to teach yourself, or you have to learn to be able to pay people to teach you certain things. But either way, you'll have to learn how to teach yourself through either videos or instruction through videos and stuff like that, or like writing. It's just a thing you have to do as a professional. I have burnt myself out a lot. Um, a lot of that was when I was modding. So like, I actually used 3D because it was more of a hobby as an excuse. So like, what I would do is I'd bounce back between 2D and 3D repeatedly, so I never had to stop a lot of times. The issue is I burnt myself out doing stuff that I didn't like, and or like pushing myself to my limits way too fast, not taking breaks or resting. You know, that's like the 2 hour no hours of sleep thing that I was talking about, and why I respect sleep more. Because I actually had mental health issues in my brain. Like I was having blackouts. You know, it's not good. You can't run on fumes, and you can't run on like no sleep. So you got to like kind of take care of yourself. You know. That's why I say I'm intense though, because like I'll do something where my body's breaking if I don't pay attention to myself and like regulate it. You know. So I would crash repeatedly during that period of time in my life because like you can only sustain that for so long. But now that I've like been through that and I overcorrected and I realized I overcorrected, I know how to take care of myself, right? It's like, no, I need sleep, I need food to fuel my brain, which the brain is kind of cool, by the way. It consumes 20% of your calories daily. I don't care how you cut it. That's a big amount of calories for just your brain. Um, I find that kind of fascinating because like that literally means like you probably don't want to run off fumes. I mean, you are running off of like extra calories or stuff, but it's not probably what your brain needs. Yeah, 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 yeah. This is why I want to talk about this stuff, dude. Because if you don't like pay attention to this stuff, like it's seriously gonna injure you in the long run. I went on a rant about being consistent earlier because like if you're not consistent with what you do, if you like burn yourself out because you're pushing so hard, it takes longer to recover from the burnout than it does if you were doing a small amount of work every day, right? So like if you push yourself to the absolute limit all the time and you burn out repeatedly, like it'll just take longer to do things. You know? Like there are moments for it. That's like why you push yourself. There are moments for it. But you also have to have the wherewithal to care for yourself, right? Like it's not just you know, you're an animal. In the end of the day, like you yourself are your own creature that you have to take care of. And if you're not feeding yourself, or you're not like taking care and taking breaks or stretching or getting your eyesight like adjusted to looking far away, like yeah, you're not, you know, you're gonna have issues later on. I think for me this is important. Like this is an important life lesson I learned. Um, Because I've seen my dad bend over backwards because of pride. It's like, you know, this is why I'm not prideful all the time. Like, I am prideful, but, like, it's in a different way. But, like, if you're prideful so much that you're not willing to do like, step down from doing something or take an insult and eat it, like, no, you're gonna, like, get into situations that are really hairy. Or that you do a lot of physical labor that you don't want to do. It's like, no, like, you know, I don't know. I eat things and then I just go through it because I can, like, recover faster, right? So it's like, you know, somebody's arguing with me, I'll just eat it and then I'll just go on with my life. They might still be steaming about it for like an hour. It's not my issue. Like, what they do with their time is not my issue. I just know I'm gonna get ahead. You know, I want to do things. I don't have time to waste thinking about this stuff. But like I realistically I do. Like, I'm only like 27, so, but I want to use this time. Like, I want to live when I'm younger, because I feel like you have a delayed quality of life when you're older, right? Like when you're older, it's not necessarily like living to live, it's living to maintain it. Same thing with your brain. That's why, like, I want to do this early on, so, like, I can, like, still be doing this when I'm older, right? It's like, yeah, no, like, I'm gonna keep my brain sharp, like, consistently. As much as I can, you know? But, yeah, I think that's important for me. Also, the music stopped. I want to put that music back on. What happened? What happened to you? Oh, it doesn't have a loop on. There we go. But yeah, the music is for, like, a chill vibe. So it's not just, like, complete silence, you know? So I'm just, like, drawing heads for some odd reason. Kind of like, if you know, you can only focus on one thing at a time. That's another thing, right? Like, so when I'm, like, really into drawing, I can't focus on talking as well. When I'm really into talking, like, my drawing suffers, you know? So, like, you gotta pick and choose your battles with that kind of stuff. Because you are diverting attention to what you're doing actively. So, like, if I actually think now, like I am, like, I can, like, draw legs and stuff, but I haven't been doing that this last couple hours. I kind of want to draw these, baboon... No, they're not baboons, mandrills. Mandrills are so cool, dude. They're, like, they're blue, old world monkeys, but they look so cool. Because they got they're like Rafiki. They got, like, grooves on their face. Which I think is, like, the coolest thing ever. And they're, like, bright blue and red. It's like, oh my god. Like, what are you? You absolute creature. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I want it to be a discussion. That's why I want to stream as well. And if I make clips out of it, then I got, like, you know, it's like I have footage to actually edit, right? It's like killing two birds with one stone. Like, I don't have to make separate footage all the time. I can just use streams. Like, maybe that's the logic behind why I want to do it as well. Because, like, I can go in deeper topics after I, like, rip something out of a stream that already has, like, a topic started. You know, and I can, like, splice the videos together to make a finished video. I think that's smart. That's just, like, smart thinking. That way I'm not, like, spending all my time doing it. Because I also have to work a job, and I have to, like, do what I want to do to, like, get where I want to be. That's where my brain goes, is if I can make it easier for myself. Or if I can, like, it's working smarter, not harder, right? So, like, it is laziness. Don't get me wrong. Like, that specific part is laziness. But, it's, like, intelligent laziness, where it's like, oh, I'm doing this so I can make clips of it later on, because I don't have to, like, re-record or, like, make new videos that aren't, like, already done. And it's just knowledge that you're getting out of it as well. Like, I'm going to do a stream where I literally do, like, Blender tutorial stuff. I might do it here, because I'm here until 7. Like, I'm blocking out this time every Sunday to be here by for 7. So, like, these streams are going to be pretty long. But I'm going to dedicate the time every Sunday, if I can. Because I have the rest of the week to, like, video edit or something if I feel like it, you know? And not really worry about the content that I'm talking about. It's just, like, it's like budgeting my time and stuff, and, like, managing money, or, like, paying attention to stuff. But at the same point, it's like, who are you doing it for, right? I always ask myself this now. There's a realization I had while working my stocking job. It's like, you know, who are you making money for? If you can't live a little bit, why are you trying to make so much money? You know, if you have no like time to breathe or like live your life, there's certainly extent to where you want to save it for your future. But, you know, not really. Like, currently, like, my downtime is this. Like, I enjoy drawing that much. Like, drawing is my passion. Like, it is literally all I want to do. But I also realize, like, if I get in a position where I like am a director or own a company, I'll be more than just drawing. Like, I have thoughts on storytelling that I don't get to talk about either with people, because they're, you know, again, they don't talk about these topics. Like, I am, like, you can hear in my voice, like, I am really passionate about this stuff. Like, I want to get into it. And I want to get into it bad. Like, so bad that I'm going to do whatever I can to get ahead to do it, but not in a bad way. Like, that's why I disagree with what's his name? Todd McFarlane, on what he's done through his life. But you gotta admire his resolve to do it, right? Like, I don't think he should have, like, not had contracts or royalty fees to the people that worked on his comics. Right, they contributed to the main part of the lore. And for somebody who, like, pioneers and says, like, we want to believe in independent stuff, it just seems kind of weird to not, like, give people what they're owed. But at the same point, I believe in the passion where he, like, has made a company and an empire that allows other people to do the same thing. Right? Like, that's the thing. Other people can do the exact same thing. You just have to be intelligent enough to understand what you're doing. And I can talk about story. Like, I believe character is super important to story. Like, first off, it's the world, right? The world influences who the characters are, and the characters influence how the story is going to be, because the story is about characters interacting a lot of times, either with themselves or with the environment or with other characters, right? So, like, I can actually just create a world. Like, let's just make a monkey world, right? Or whatever. So, like, what is this world gonna be? Let's say it's a... I don't want to do a war-torn world. That's kind of boring. I mean, Planet of the Apes is this exact idea, actually, but, like, worlds aren't hard to make, in my opinion. Like, I can do fast food condiments that became sentient and started wars with cats. Right, that's a world, but you don't know the story that's going on in there. That's how I get my point across, is, like, you know, let's say we're doing that, right? We got a ketchup bottle, who's, like, one of our main protagonists. You know, like, this is like taking a hammy idea and adding internal logic to it, right? It's like, I find this fascinating because you can literally, like, do anything. As long as you, like, know what you're trying to do. So, like, and this is what I mean by taking breaks, by the way. You guys don't see what I do offline. Like, I might be sleeping or chilling out watching something. You know, like, it seems like I do a lot, but that's because I use that time to do a lot of times. But there are hours in the day where I'm just not doing stuff. Like, the sculpting things that I do and render out take like 2 to 3 hours. That's not my whole day. And usually I'm working a full 8-hour shift at my job later during the day, so, like, it's literally not my whole day. So, like, I'm juggling my time because I actually set alarms for myself, so I don't have to think about it later on. It's literally like just peace of mind. So like I can do a lot of stuff. I budget my time just by setting an alarm on my phone. So I don't have to like actively look at it all the time. I know that like I set it there and it's gonna go off. And it's gonna notify me when I should like switch things that I'm doing. You know? I think this is also why secretaries probably exist for like bigger management people, because like they have so much going on in their day, like they have to have a way of managing it, right? That's my opinion. Is that like you can't just like have no way of managing your time and just expect things to get done. Like you need a schedule. That's why I'm making it my choice of like making a schedule to stream, right? Like I'm doing it out of my own volition. It's not something that I necessarily have as a habit yet. Like I don't necessarily want to do it, but I think it'll be beneficial for me in the long run. And I can talk about things that I don't get to hear a lot of times within art servers. I'm kind of saddened by it because, like, you think that you're going to get this this giant idea of community, but in actuality, it's a lot more shallow than you think it is. And it annoys me to no end a lot of times because it's like, well, this sucks. I still don't have a group of people that I really fit in with, you know, like normal. Like, it's always been that way. It's like, yeah, no, like, I don't fit in with these people. They think about things I just don't care about. And I'm hardwired, and I'm so hyper-focused on story that that's, like, all I care about. Like, the only thing other than art I care about is my family. I'm a pretty simple dude when it comes down to that, with complex thoughts. You know? But, like, family is super important to me. So are the people around you, like how you interact with people. That's why I get annoyed when people like try to mess with each other or why they treat people so badly. It's like, what, you know, would you like that to be done to you? I just I don't know. I'm very conscious about that. At the same point, like I know when to stop it because I've been hurt before. I'm very emotional inside. It's like, you know, I don't know, like, you gotta let people fail. Sometimes it's legitimately not your issue, but a lot of times, I'll call them out now. Or I'll just stop talking, because, like, it's just, nobody stands up to them, so that's one side I get it. So they keep reaffirming this bad behavior towards people. Another thing is, like, Discord's not the world, so, like, you know, you're probably not going to get an actual job from Discord. That sounds ridiculous. You'll get contacts. You'll get people that will be able to, like, recommend you. But you're not going to get a job. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that, you know, it's your work. Like, your work is what shows that you can get a job. Like, I've heard from a bunch of my friends that I met in Discord that, like, oh, I'd love to, like, give them your portfolio if you had one. Right? If you had something that I can show my employer or like somebody I know, I'd gladly like give you the opportunity to work there. Right? But a lot of these people that are my friends, like, I don't have a portfolio for that. I can't, you know, you can't do it if you don't have a track record. That's why I want to get into commissions and start making finished things, right? And I want to do stories. I have a story that I'm working on. That's an older story that I'm exploring again. But it's you know, it's a fast food restaurant in space. I mean, actually, usually not afraid of sharing it. I'm not going to share the storyboards or anything, but the idea is this kind of like regular show, where like people are forced against their will after they're abducted to work in a fast food restaurant. The reason I'm not afraid of sharing these ideas is because you won't execute like me. You don't know the story. You don't know the stuff that's not written. You know? Now, when you tell people a story, then there becomes a huge issue. But I haven't told you the story. You know? And even then, I'm not even finished with the story if I did. So, it still legit would not be the same. Like this is the thing about entertainment, is it's very much in that vein where it's like, if it's story based, like it's more nuanced, because like only the person who created it can really have a voice like that. And this is why personality matters to me, because if you know how a character's gonna act because they just act that way, well, then you can write story pretty easy, right? It's like, oh, he's a hothead. Well, we know he's gonna consistently be angry at certain things because he's a hothead, right? You know, that's just how they're gonna interact with other characters. Maybe he messes with the wrong person and he's called out on his bullshit. Well, now you have a character development moment. Does he acknowledge it and change the way he is slightly? Or does he stay hot-headed and basically ostracize himself from society? Right? Like these are like very psychological things that I think about. They're kind of cool. But at the same point, like, you get to pick and choose if you want to have it be that deep or not as well. Like for a cartoon, like maybe I don't need that deep introspection into like the character's mind, but it's all about what you choose to write, you know. Like I find like writing very important if you want to own your own stuff. I think you can do it without it, like if you want to make pretty pictures, but I want to own an IP. Like I want to own something that I can sell to people, the rights, like some of the royal, like I want to license it out. I want to pimp out my property so I make money off of it and I don't have to do the work necessarily. Because I did the work up front, right? Like I made the property, it's popular, people want to use it. Sure, you can use it if you give me money. You know? That's how business works. I also don't think George Lucas was very smart about the way that he sold his property, like his Star Wars and Indiana Jones, because he regrets it now. Because the issue with him is he only fed into those, so he doesn't really create new properties. So he's not actively making new things, therefore, like, it's a huge loss to him, because he can't make another Star Wars. He doesn't know how he probably did it either, but that's besides the point. that's a huge, like, context thing that matters. Because if you legit don't know how you did something, it is like a fluke of luck. And you're not, like, thinking about how you did it, necessarily. I don't know, like, this is another, like, facet of things I think about. I don't know what this ketchup bottle is excited about, or what's going on with him. He's pretty funny. I don't know. What was it? It was cats? It was cats and a ketchup bottle there were with each other or something. Oh no. This concept's so silly. You know, that's the thing. A concept can be silly, but the characterization can be super serious, which is funny. Like, think about Adventure Time and like all the psychological stuff that happens in it. It's like, oh, this is happy Rainbow Land. Oh, it's actually because of nuclear war. You know, it's like, what? What? Your brain has to, like, process the contrast of those two ideas. Which is super fun. Because, like, you legit get to, like... You get to feel some, like, sense of, like, oh, it's not as cute and kind as I thought it was. This is actually somewhat borderline disturbing. I always like moments like that in shows, because it's like a hairs on the back of your neck moment, where like your hairs like just fucking like go up. It's like, oh my god, he hasn't talked the entire show, and now I hear his fucking voice. It like gives me chills. Or like the moment when something's explored where it's like, oh, there's a bigger plot behind everything else. It really was a conspiracy, and like, oh shit, like. There's a cabal of people actually controlling the strings of how these managers have all been operating, and they've all been operating the same way. It's like, what? You're telling me that there is literally a conspiracy? Like, these people are colluding with each other? And not just that, they're ordering them? Like, what? who's in charge of this? You know, like it like becomes like a like you're creating more questions that make the viewer like their brain happy, right? Their brain is like, oh, I need to know now. Like, what is this about? I'm in. Like, just sign me up. Like, I need to watch this. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'm like, yes, give me more of that. Give me more of that feeling. Where it's like that you make me think about things. Where it's like, why are they doing this? What is the psychology behind this character leaving over something so trivial? You know, is there like an emotional attachment? Like, do they know them? What's going on? Like, these are all things that you get to depict if you want to. You don't have to. Because that's like if you're writing, like that's your job. Like you can depict story-wise how that should be. That's why I think writing is important to the creative process. Because your brain is getting information from writing, right? And if you don't feed your brain information, you're not going to get much influences in your drawings, right? So like the more well-read and the more things that you consume or understand, the more content you have to pull from. So I'm actually pulling from really old content, realistically, that I see. So like I'm pulling from Looney Tunes, I'm pulling from Chuck Jones, I'm pulling from like Ren and Stimpy and stuff like that. I'm pulling from Regular Show and all these cartoons. I'm also pulling from manga and stuff like that, like these hatch marks manga. But that's like the kicker is like, you know, you get to choose what you want to put in there. You ultimately get to choose what you put in there. And to not choose and like think it's an accident, I want to have control over it. Like why wouldn't I? Like I'm creating the content. Why wouldn't I have control over it? It's my content, you know? But I'm like a self-made man type of thing where it's like, yeah, yes, I have really good family because I'm lucky. But at the same point, I had to be mentally enduring. I had to learn how to deal with things because I'm just that emotional, right? I had to learn how to control my emotions at a very young age. So I might come off as deadpan, but that's because I'm pretty genuine. And I mean what I say. Like if I say something, it's not arbitrary usually. You know, a lot of people that's the case, but like I mean things. Like if I say that I don't like you, it's legitimately probably because I don't like you. You know, or if I say that like, it's a bad example. If I say that you need to work on this, this, and that, and I give you like resources to work on, like I give you like videos and stuff. If you disregard that and think that I'm not trying to help you by making you learn on your own, like that's not my problem. Like you have bigger issues with your own self, thinking that people are obligated to help you at all. This is their free time. They're not getting paid by you, are they? Are you paying them? You know, if you're not paying them, like I don't see how you can complain. You know, what do you want? Like you want everything for free and not have to work for it either? That's kind of weird. You know, why don't we unpack that? But you know, that's my kind of thing. Is it's like too many people think they're obligated to do something for them. It's like no, nobody's obligated to do anything for you at all. You know, that's why I have the self-discipline to do things for myself, because I have high standards for myself. Some people don't have high standards for themselves, and it shows. I don't know how to draw this because like, I don't know how his crotch works. I'm like, ugh. I guess I could like do this, but it's goofy. Yeah, whatever. I'll just do this for now. The thing is, like, I'll draw a character like this, and I'll draw him a couple times, doing different things and like bending with emotion, and this will like give you a better understanding of how to emote the character. I mean, like, The other thing about characters that you learn when you look up animation and stuff is that they evolved over time. Like the character you hear in Bugs, like Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny, is a character that evolved over time, even art style wise. So like characters organically start to change. Dexter's Lab is a good example of this too, because in later seasons they got so used to drawing them that they kind of like drew them differently than they used to. Right, so that's like an important lesson, is that like your character might not stay how he is all the time, right? And that's fine. Like there's a progression of art style that happens. Like look at One Punch Man. The original artist won, and look at his other comics. Not necessarily the guy who like copied his comics with a new art style. I'm talking about like look at his other comics like Mob 100 Psycho. It's infinitely better than it was. Look at Ranking of Kings original art. Like it's the same thing. It's infinitely better than it was because they tried. They tried it, and then they learned how to do it better. You know. That's what I'm getting at. Is if you don't try, you don't know, and you can't get better, right? Because you legitimately haven't done anything. If you try, you've at least done something. You know, that's like, that's my advice. That's my huge advice of the day. If you try, you've at least done something. You've done more than most people. You know, most people don't even try for themselves. That's why I say, like, people getting angry at, like, the things they care about. Because, like, let's say you have a situation where you have parents and you have to pay for them because somebody's injured. Or whatever's going on, it's like, you know, why would you be angry that you took on that burden on your own? Like, you don't have to. It'll probably hurt more if you didn't. But it'll probably be healthier in the long run if you didn't. You did it because you care that much to give a damn, you know? And I don't think you should be ashamed of that. I think that's something that will make you stronger, in my opinion. Because it shows that you have resolve in what you care about. That's like a life lesson that I came to an idea of recently, because I was getting like, I was like, you know, why do I care so much? Why do I bend over backwards? Why do I want to do things? Why do I want to teach? That's because I care. I think it matters to me. Like, I personally make it my point to care about it. Actively. I want to give back because I know what it's like to have to claw to get skills. I learned anatomy through YouTube and Google. I learned how to sculpt through YouTube as well. I had to bang my head against upwards of like 80 videos or more. So like, you know, it's because not everything was in one place at one time for me. I'd like to at least provide that in a better spot. There's some things I probably won't go over, like style and whatnot, because that's like personal, you know, that's something that you kind of develop on your own. But when it comes to like the tools, like anybody can learn the tools. All the information on how I can sculpt in Blender and do things is online. I don't have to teach it. I do it because it's not organized. And a lot of times the teachers who are teaching this stuff aren't professionals, or they're not doing that as their main goal. That's fine, right? You can do that. That's fine. I don't have an issue with it. I just would like to. I have higher standards for myself. If I want to give back to the community, right? It's like I want to give back what I didn't get, right? I didn't have the luxury of having everything in one place. You know, I had to learn this stuff over like several videos and bang my head against the wall to try to understand what the heck they were talking about. You know, something that it's not about regression. This is why like I don't like old people basically wanting you to struggle. It's like, no, old man, the point is that we're progressing forward, so like things are actually easier. You know, it's like, no, they don't have to be hard because you feel like it. That's why I'm okay with taking breaks and stuff. It's like, no, you need this stuff. Like, you need to do it. So it's like, you know, old man can like be building a car out of fucking metal and fabricating everything himself, right? But the reality is we can pay somebody to do that for us, and it's somebody else's business. right? It's like it's this idea of, you know, killing meat or getting meat in a supermarket. Like, you can kill an animal and you can gut it and you can clean it and you can do all that stuff to make it edible, or you pay somebody else who's doing it for you. They're creating a service that is integral to the way that our society functions, and you don't have to worry about getting your hands dirty, right? That's what their job is. Their job is to get their hands dirty for you. Even the military can be seen as this extent. Like, I don't agree with them on everything, right? But like, the idea is that they're out there so we don't have to worry about it, right? I mean, that's the big idea. So like, other people are doing jobs so you don't have to worry about it. Like, I stock grocery shelves so you don't have to worry about not having food on the grocery shelf. I make it so customers can go through my aisles and so they can get food. I try to make their experience even easier too sometimes. But it's not lost on me that that's what I'm doing as my job. Like, you know, I could be providing food for, say, an astronaut or something. You don't know. Like, a lot of people that come through my store are in the military, from what I see. Like, some of them are in full, like, military outfits. So, like, I might be part of their daily routine where they buy whatever they need in the grocery store. They go home and they eat it, right? The thing is, I'm a small part of that because I end up putting it on the shelf. If it wasn't on the shelf, they wouldn't be able to buy it. You know, like, some of these dead-end jobs do need to exist for a reason. I don't like it because it's menial tasks. But at the same point, they need to exist, right? Like, it's like, bureaucracy needs to exist. Paperwork, writing things down, archiving it, like, it all needs to be a job. Because without it, our system doesn't work, right? Like, this is like hierarchy 101. Like, this stuff exists so we don't have to do things all the time. This is why, like, when you own a company, you don't get to do everything because you pay other people to do it, because your time matters that much. You're already creating an opportunity for people to make money by owning a company, because if you hire them, they're making money off of what you have created, right? So this is why I think that upper management and CEOs should be paid well. I just don't think it should be as much as it currently is. But I still think they should be paid well. They own the company and they manage how it should function. You know? And they're taking, usually, if they have integrity, they take the brunt of the PR, right? Some companies aren't like that. They don't take the brunt of the PR. They actually shove it onto the, like, say, game developers or something. I don't agree with that, because that's kind of, you know, that's putting stress on to people that work for you to an extent. So, like, I mean, there's a part of that makes sense. Like, if you're a game designer and, like, your main role is to do stuff, but the thing is, a lot of times even they have upper management that's telling them to do things, right? It's like, no, you need to do this, this, and that, and we're not going to budget the time for it, right? Because, like, they just don't care. It's like, yeah, no, like, that's a culture. If I ever own a company, like, I want to foster out. Like, I don't want that to be part of any form of my culture, because I will own the company and I get to set the rules. Like, you get to set the expectations that you want your customers and your employees to, like, follow, right? So you do that in your terms of service, or, like, whatever it is. Like, when you enter my business, this is how you should act. And then on the other hand, like, if you work for me, this is how you should act. Like, this is the company culture thing, which I honestly think most companies are very bad at, to be honest. They don't really do as well. Some are really good, but it's its own, like, thing. I'm actually going to take this idea farther because I can, by the way. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be right back, though. I'm going to write down BRB bathroom. Because I gotta go to the bathroom. Again, like, take care of yourself, right? Like, you know, don't just sit here and crap your pants because you want to stream or something. That'd be ridiculous. Yeah, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Because I have a phone, by the way, I know now that the audio for the music is not loud enough. Let's up that a bit. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna raise it even higher. I want you to have, like, decent audio while you're hearing me, talk about stuff. Again, though, like, this is, you know, it's a learning process for me. Like, I haven't streamed a lot, so, you know. I even learned how to do audio when I started streaming before. It's like, you know, no, like, my audio's not perfect. I need to set stuff up. I need to fix it, figure it out, and that's actually archived on my YouTube channel and the live streams that I've done in the past. So, yeah, that's important. It's kind of learning. This idea that you're perfect is kind of, like, ludicrous to me. It's what I actually don't like about companies that I've seen, because, like, they'll tell you to come in and, like, do stuff at earlier dates because they don't want to see you on the premises. It's like, bro, like, you're telling me to wake up at 3 p.m. because you don't want to see me here. You know how insulting that is? It's like an arbitrary thing that business people do because they want to appear like things just happen, which I really don't agree with. Maybe the logic behind it is that they don't want customers to see it, but at the same point, like, this is the stuff that, like, keeps their business up and running and up to date. Like, that's what I don't like about it, because, like, without these jobs, like, they don't have new technology, they don't have fancy TVs, they don't have half the stuff that they, like, just have in their offices. It's like, how you gonna do a man dirty who literally set shit up for you? Like, how you gonna do that? You know, this makes no sense to me. So there's a lot of I mean, it's not a surprise why workers are kind of mad if they're getting paid pennies, and then on top of that, they're disrespected by people. There's like the, again, it's the pride thing. Like, I'm fine with it because I know I'm making a paycheck and I don't really care that much. I care enough to, like, make the customer's, like, situation better because the customer's always number one. That's always the case. I don't care who you are, customer's always number one. If they're not, then like, why are you even in a business? Like, are you not trying to make money? You know, like, I'm there to make money. I don't care what the customer thinks. I'm not gonna bash them over the head. I'm gonna let them think what they want to think, you know. Because at the end of the day, they're paying me, and it's not my job to judge them in that respect. You know, that's where comic artists are kind of becoming a problem, from what I can tell. Is they're being super judgmental. Even Disney's doing this. Like, they're being super judgmental of their customers to the point where they're saying, "Oh, just don't buy it." Well, you know, when people take that seriously, they won't buy it, and you're gonna lose money, and you're gonna hemorrhage money out the wazoo. It's like, bruh. Like, how did you not see this coming? Are you that arrogant? You know, it's like that's the introspection that kind of gets me. Like, they can't see the error of their ways. It's like, no, like, there's a reason you're running things into the ground. It's because you're not paying attention to things and you're actively like antagonizing the customers. I wouldn't keep somebody like that hired, by the way. I don't know why they do. I'd be like, no, you're burning money. You are burning every single dollar. You know. But again, upper management rarely gets the same treatment as employees, right? Because they're like, oh, we're not taking a pay cut, we're in charge. Like, why would we take a pay cut? We're just gonna fire people. I don't think that's the case with everything. I've actually been called out on that because I think it's nuanced, but it still doesn't make it right that like that happens and that employees aren't compensated when inflation happens, and like to a huge like upper management person, their salary, it's like, oh, I just lost my summer home. Like, it's an inconvenience to me. You know, it's like, okay, like, I can't take you seriously if that's what you're saying an inconvenience is. Well, people aren't making a living at your own company. You know, you lost your summer home, big whoop, you're a big baby at that point to me. Because you literally like took money away from people's paychecks or outright fired them because you didn't want to take a pay cut. Like, you know, people like that aren't actually going to feel any pain anyways if they take a pay cut. I think that's what annoys me the most. They're not going to feel any like economic pain, really. And in a company structure, like, it kind of does matter because whoever's in charge of setting the rates, I guess, or wages, like, yeah, no, as an owner of a company, you have a direct responsibility to pay your workers well. Why would they work for you? And you're seeing the direct result with Blizzard. Like, people have been leaving it left and right, and the morale is really low. You know, like, that is the same thing. Same thing. Is like, if you don't believe in it and you don't want to pay people and let them do their job, like, how can you expect to want people to join you? Right? A lot of industries have, like, there's an issue with devaluing work as well in that respect. It's like, you treat people like replaceable, then you don't have a program to teach people, and you just expect them to show up. It's like, well, what happens when you devalue it to such a degree that nobody even wants the job to begin with, even if they do have the skills? You know, like, why work in like installing or messing with programming if it's about the same as stocking a grocery shelf? Like, why would you waste your time even if you did have the skills? At that point, like, you have enough discipline to be able to learn any other skill that pays better. You know, why would you waste your time doing it? That's my kind of thing, and that's also why my goal is to literally work on getting commissions, right? If I can get commissions sustainable enough to where I'm making more money than I am currently, I can actually quit my job. And I'm lucky enough to be able to stay with my parents. Like, some people aren't that lucky. But at the same point, like, you know, that's me making a goal, setting it up, and then I can, like, make money while I'm trying to get a job in animation and set my life up for how I want it, right? It's not me being passive and just kind of ignoring things. It's me actively setting goals and actively choosing to pursue them. Like this goal of this stream right now. It's a goal I set just for Sundays. It's not a unreachable goal. It's not all of my time. It's just Sundays. This will only happen on Sundays. I budgeted time for that. Like, it's gonna be Sundays from 5 to 7 every single time if I can help it. It's about consistency, right? Because if I do that, people will expect it. They're just like, oh yeah, no, it's 5 to 7. It's always 5 to 7. This is his schedule, right? People on the West Coast. People on the West Coast are like 3 hours behind me, so like it is like me doing it 5 to 7 is like I think 1. Wait, let me think. Sorry, my brain isn't working. It would be like 2. It'd be like 2 a.m. or sorry 2 p.m. If it's 5 p.m. here, then it'll be 2 p.m. over there, right? Roughly. So like, it's not unreasonable, especially if it's in the middle of the day. Like, for East Coasters, it's probably like dinner time, but I told my parents and stuff like, no, I'm going to be doing this until 7, so I'm setting a chunk of time where this is like dedicated time that I'm doing this specific thing, you know, and that's just gonna be how it is, and it's only Sundays. Like, you can have me any other day. Sunday is my day. And I have to be able to make decisions as an adult on my own. Like, I don't, you know, at some point you don't ask for permission. You're an adult. You manage yourself. You have to have your own discipline. You have to have your own responsibility to be able to do things and like operate in an adult world, right? It's like, you know, you're no longer a kid. You decide for yourself, who are you making the money for? Is it for your own enjoyment? If that's the case, then you can spend, you know, it's the same thing with like learning skills. It's like I spent a lot of my time learning skills in my free time, like on weekends and stuff, even when I was working. It's like, yeah, no, like I some people are like, oh, I don't want to waste my time. It's like, are you wasting your time if you're preparing for your future? If that's the case, then I can't imagine what you'd be like if you actually got what you wanted. You know, I just don't think it would work out anyways, because you don't have discipline. Like, you can say you want it, but are you actively moving towards it, right? Like what are you doing to move towards it at all, if at all? Because I've been there. I've not done it for a while, but now I'm like, I'm scheduling, keeping clocks, writing notes in Obsidian. It's like, yeah, no, like I feel like I'm getting a point of responsibility I haven't had before. I can't even drive yet. I need to actually sign up for the DMV and stuff. You can sign up online and schedule your appointments online at the DMV. So all you'll actually have to do is show up. You don't even have to like wait in line. I think, again, that's probably another thing that people don't know, is that you don't have to wait in line. You sign up and make an appointment. Not just that either, like they have learning material for cars, for driving on their website. So like, this is all like small stuff you wouldn't know if you didn't research it. I was lucky enough to have somebody that told me this. And the kind of like things that I did myself that was not perfect, like, or wasn't beneficial to me. Like, it was just, I was in my own way, right? Like I was legitimately causing myself problems by not doing things actively or saying things and then not doing them. That's why I switched complete like 180 to just doing 2D. I still do 3D. I have fun doing 3D a lot, but I'm gonna need to focus at some point. Like, if I do 3D at all, it should be a hobby, something I can relax with. So like, you know, somebody asked about like why, like when do you relax? It's like, well, you know how you have hobby. My hobby is everything I like to do is about creating things. Every single thing. I like creating things. The only time that's not the case is if I'm just like watching a show or exploring. I am addicted to creating things. That is like my passion. I love doing it. But the only other time that's not the case is if I'm in nature and just enjoying myself, like just chilling out or talking to people. It's like, you know, these are the only times that I'm not like actively trying to create something. And even in myself, like I'm trying to create what I want to see, right? Like that's why I have high standards for myself. It's like, you know, I do things the way that I do them because I have high standards for myself. I want to see, like I want to see if I'm capable of it. I want to see if I can cut it. I need to like learn it for myself. I can't just wait on somebody, you know, like, and I'm not gonna like say that other people's work is my work. That's another issue I see from some people. They're like, they equate somebody teaching them to them actually have had their track record. It's like, that's not your work. You don't get to claim it, right? Like, that's the professional's work. That's not your work. He's just trying to give you tools. He's trying to give you tools so you can be in the same position, right? That's the only reason people want to teach usually. They're trying to give you tools to be in the same position. You should be paid for teaching though, for the most part. I think some knowledge is like basically free knowledge because it is, but you have to look at multiple videos. The way I teach, like, it should be paid probably, because I've taught people Blender from complete scratch and like have been patient enough to repeat myself. The thing is, like, that should be paid, and I've done it enough to where I know which people to like avoid when they want to ask how to do things. It's like, if you are not like, if you don't want it enough to come out of the blue and ask me daily to teach you, you don't want it enough. Like, I'm gonna flat out say it, you don't want it enough. Because like, I have to teach myself daily, right? I want things so bad that I banged my head against the wall and watched like 80 different videos on 3D. Right? I wanted it that bad. I want to get into a storyboard job this bad, so bad that I'm like, I don't want to do my day job anymore. So instead of like complaining about it, I came up with a solution. I'm gonna work and try to get better at drawing finished pieces so much that I can get commissions. And if that is stable enough, and I get a name for myself, and it's consistent money, I'm gonna quit my day job, and I'm gonna continue doing what I want to do on my own schedule. Right? It's just logic, right? It's just like, you know, if you want to fix your position, you got to work towards it. It just doesn't happen. Like, not everybody's against you. It's like, you're against your own self a lot of times. You know, if you view everybody else as the problem and then don't acknowledge that you might have some part in it, like, I don't know where you're gonna get, because you're actively coming to the conversation thinking that people are inherently out to get you. That's not always the case. You know, like, they might legitimately want to help you, but you think this way, and then you think that people are out to get you, or their opinion is like, oh, they're just being aggressive, or they hate you. It's like, no, that's not the case all the time. Like, some people legitimately care enough that they're telling you the truth, and if you don't like the truth, you should be able to change it. You know, it's less about like that you failed or that you're wrong. It's more about like, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it if you find out that you don't like what's going on with yourself? You know, that's why they always say, like, you find out who you really are when you're at your lowest. It's somewhat true for some people. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people at their lowest, they're still the same because they've given up. You know, they don't care as much. They don't want to actually try to do anything because they think it's easier and lazier to just not do anything. I've seen it firsthand from a guy who was like 50 years old. I'm not naming names, but this guy lived with us for a while. But the thing is, like, he had the same opportunities that my dad had, and that happened to him. I don't know what his end goal is. I don't hope ill will to him, but he's a scumbag for trying to, you know, basically take advantage of my dad's goodwill by like literally letting him live with us and vouching for him to get him a job, right? Like, if you feel like you hate yourself because that's how it is, well, then you have an obligation to try to change it if you feel like it. not necessarily an obligation. You don't have an obligation, but like, if you want to change it and you don't want to feel bad about yourself, like, you should work towards like fixing the habits that are making you a bad person, or making you not a bad person, making you not like yourself. Right? Like, you gotta fix the habits that make you not like yourself. Like, you know, if you don't like that you smell bad or something, well, you know, what you can do is take a shower daily, right? It's not that bad. You know, that's where I'm like viewing it, is like, you know, if you're daily like feeling like something, like, why wouldn't you look and seek for ways to fix it? So first day working a stocking job, I looked up posture, how to bend my knees, how to lift things, right, the correct way. My dad was taught how to do all that wrong by a gym teacher in high school or something. And he went through the Marines doing that, right? So his body's messed up, and only going through physical therapy is when you learn that, like, oh yeah, no, like, this person taught me how to do things the wrong way. And it had big repercussions because you were doing it for the rest of your life. It's like, bruh, like, this is why you need to pay attention to this stuff and care about your body. It's because, like, it might be nothing early on, but in the long run, it's everything, right? Because everything adds up, right? Like, you know, that's the thing, is like, yeah, the posture might not be bad for like a little bit, but then let's say that that's compounded by like several years. Well, now your body's not working how you want it to, and you're in pain consistently, right? So you didn't take care of yourself, you didn't take your breaks, you didn't make sure you were eating food, like, you're stressed out, your body's giving out on you, you didn't get sleep, you know, you're having blackouts, like, all this stuff compounds on itself. That's why, even when I was working a full-time job and exercising, I treat exercising like a routine. But it's not like a pushing myself routine that much. It was like I did 10, 10, 10, 10 every single morning, right? So it all adds up. I think of it like smoking, right? You know, smoking might not be bad in the short term, but over time, like, you smoke enough, you're gonna get cancer, or you're gonna have issues. But like, let's say exercises like that. Well, if you do 10 push-ups, 10 crunches, 10 sit-ups, 10 squats, 10 like lifting it over your shoulders, 10 barbell like lifts, like, yeah, it's gonna add up over time because you're doing that daily, right? It's not a lot of work in the morning either. Like, it's very simple stuff. But over time, like, you're building endurance, because like, you can do it longer, you can do it all the time, and it's not straining your muscles because it's only in the mornings. Like, this is what I mean by, like, it's not about how much you lift, right? It's about how active you do it. I even think about this to an extent when it comes to people's like lives. It's like, you know, it's not about what you did, it's about what you're doing. Now, if you have a problem with it, like, what you did is cool. Like, that's awesome. That's fine. That's an achievement. But what are you doing with it now that you've gotten there? What are you doing now? Right? Let's say you are and have worked in the games industry. Why aren't you there now? Right? Like, why aren't you doing it now? Are there reasons for it? Or did you get kicked out? Right? Could you not get hired? Like, is your behavior bad? Like, what are the reasons that you don't do things that you used to do? Right? So in my dad and that guy's case, you know, it's like, well, they got out of the Marines, and, you know, one of them got divorced, the other one stepped to the plate and had me. You know, so like, there's lots of issues with that, because like, they had the same opportunities, and even then some, like my dad offering him to stay with us to get him back on his feet, he still didn't take it. That's what I mean by people can be in their own way. You know, they can legitimately be in their own way. You can give them the world, and it won't matter if they don't help themselves. You know, it goes back to the saying about horse drinking water. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's very true, right? Like, you can give them all the opportunity in the world. You can give them every single thing. But if they don't have the responsibility to take action for themselves, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do for them. at some point you can only fix people or help people until they can help them, until they have to help themselves, right? Because again, the only thing you can control is your mind. If you can't control your mind, then you're lost, right? And a lot of these people are lost because they can't control their mind anymore. They don't even want to like talk to themselves in their head, let alone control it. You know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for somebody like that, especially somebody who's ingrained that idea over literal decades. It's hard for them. It's like, how are they gonna possibly get out of that funk of thinking that negatively? You know, some people do, but it's very rare, and it's not because people aren't helping them either. Like, it's the fact that they don't want to change themselves. Like, you know, change happens. Like, people do change, but they only change as much as they want to actually change, right? So, like, people don't change unless they feel like they want to. So I have a more nuanced view on that. Like, that's kind of like how I think of it, is like, people can change, sure, but the vast majority of people aren't introspective and don't actually change because they think it's a waste of their time, right? Everything's a waste of your time, yet you know you're gonna live like 80 years and then you're gonna waste your time not doing things, not living for yourself. You know, what's the point of that? That just seems goofy, you know, borderline goofy. It's like, you know, how are you gonna lecture me about things if you can't even lecture yourself or control yourself? Right. There's also where I get issues and contentions with parents hiding the fact that they did drugs or trying to like tell children to not do drugs. It's like, you're not even coming to the conversation being honest with your kids. Yeah, they're not gonna believe you. You know, it's just like a no-brainer. Like, and I definitely think you should hide things from your kids at certain ages. I think you should wait until they're old enough to be able to deal with adult problems, because like, I don't want to put that stress on the child. That seems ridiculous. And I've had that happen to me, so like, I understand it. I just don't agree with it. It's like, you know, at some point they do have to live a childhood, and your like personal issues or work issues are not their problem, and it shouldn't be an obligation for them to listen to it. You know, because that you know, again, these are the formative years. These are the years that matter the most. If these years, when a child is younger, is inundated with your own personal issues, then they care about your issues and they're stuck dealing with you instead of learning to live for themselves. Right? Like, there's a point in the matter where it's like, you can only care so much before you have to like take care of yourself. You know? That's how I view it. Also, I don't know what this green lighting is. I'm kind of annoyed by it. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I fix this. I hit B. Like, Control B will like do this. I don't know why. It's gone now. Why is it? Can I draw? Oh my god, it's a layer effect. How did I do this? What did I do? Bruh. They're layer styles. What is this? Yo, I didn't even know this had this. Learning new things. Let's go. By exit channels. Yeah, I just ranted mostly, to be honest. Like, most of this stuff is ranting for now. I might do a little bit more like fun drawing or sculpting things, or like teaching during these streams next time. But I want to cover these topics because I don't think people talk about them, and I think they're important. Either as an artist or just a person in general. Like, you should be able to do these things as a person. Like I do stuff all the time that I don't want to do, and a lot of it is because I know where I want to go, or I know what I want to become. You know, it took a long time searching to find that for myself. By the way, it's not just something you just have. So like that's what I can impart on you, is like you just have to try things. You know, you have to like be able to try things and be okay with it. Be okay with failing if it happens. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer, but once that hits like 7, I'm gone. And again, this is like the idea behind like a schedule, is I'm gonna make it consistent, and I'm not gonna kill myself by streaming longer than I should. And I'm gonna make sure that it's okay. You know, I can use the rest of my day. I can go eat, spend time with family. You know, it's life-work balance, or like just art. You know, art-life balance, like all this stuff, right? You gotta be able to take care of yourself, because after all, like you need your own breaks. I'm just addicted to creating, so usually my breaks aren't real breaks sometimes when it comes to art, which I find funny. Or I take a small break to play like Call of Duty or something, and that's it. And it's like I play that because I know it's going to be fast, I know what I'm going to get out of it, and I'm going to enjoy it a little bit, and then I'll be able to like stop. You know, it's not a big deal. I'm really not sure what happened here. I pressed a button, and now my art is green, and it's annoying me. I did it again. What was this button? Control V. Okay. That's an odd function. What is this doing exactly? Why can't I change it? So... it says it's a copy layer. I don't know. It's weird. Really. Window, workspace, my workspace, and then... well, let's see if there's the filter thing. Reset filters. No. No. Remove nodes. What is this? I have something going on with it. I don't know, like how it's overlaid though. This is gonna annoy me. It's like, it's obviously doing something, but I don't know what causes it. This is how I learn new things. I'm like, what is this? Like, what is happening exactly here? Like, why is it green? That might be the last thing I talk about on this stream. I didn't even really draw much. I drew like Ketchup Bottle Man, but this is like the learning experience. I need to learn how to draw while also talking. You know, and articulate myself. But hope the conversations have been entertaining at least, and you can maybe listen to these later when you listen to my like recording of my live stream. I didn't get to draw much, but I think I talked about a lot of topics that are on my mind that I hope helps somebody. That's why I put it out there. Like, you know, if it doesn't help you, it's fine, but maybe it'll actually help somebody along in their life. That is, you know, I find that important to give back, and regardless if somebody gets anything out of it, they get to decide what they take away from it, right? So I'm gonna leave it at that and end the stream. I really didn't plan staying until after 7.